I have a few reservations and concerns I have about the next Battlefield game, and I know all the rumors coming out and all the leaked footage, which I will not be showing in this video, and everything seems like everything looks good on paper and that everything looks, spiffy, spot on, like this is what we want, Battlefield's back, this is where we want to be as a Battlefield fan. It just sounds way too good to be true. And, we're seeing a return to form. We're seeing things of similar art style, design, and, combat compared to Battlefield 3 and 4. Even down to classes returning and not having, these operators from Battlefield 2042. But I still find myself again, coming into my head that this sounds way too good to be true. And it's why I've, again, become so apathetic with all this stuff. Because, it feels like I've heard it before. And I've been watching a lot of stuff from the YouTuber Enders, who, by the way, give a subscribe and follow to if, you want to hear a little bit more of an unfiltered view of the Battlefield industry. I don't agree with everything Enders says, but he is a nice sort of filter, or rather, a sort of no BS filter when it comes to talking about the state of Battlefield. And he's had quite a few thoughts on the matter, and it's just, that's what it feels like, is it's a lot of, there's a lot of hope. A lot of people are saying that if this next Battlefield game doesn't land, then not only the future of gaming as a whole is going to be really up in the air in terms of the FPS genre, but even the Battlefield franchise could be put on ice, kind of like what happened with Medal of Honor. And I know Medal of Honor had that VR game that came out a couple years ago, but it's no longer a flagship franchise like it used to be. And a lot of people are concerned because there were some rumors that Battlefield was going to go to skill-based matchmaking, since 2042 removed a server browser, except for Portal. But in the regular game, there was no server browser. You had to quick play or quick match and matchmake and all that. And, there was some of that genuineness that Battlefield had that was lost. And it felt like the narrative was being set, and it seems to be that skill-based matchmaking, or EOMM, or engagement online matchmaking, is going to be implemented into Battlefield. And a lot of people are wholly against it. I myself am, because that's not what Battlefield's about. And, we had that competitor Delta Force coming out that, many of us thought was going to be a great Battlefield alternative, ended up being a complete giant waste of time because they lied about there being, skill-based matchmaking in EOMM. But regardless, all the footage, again, that we're seeing looks promising, and it looks good. But again, these rumors of skill-based matchmaking, and then you have to just look at the past. I mean, remember Battlefield 5, when leading up to the release, Patrick Soderlund, at the time when he was still working with EA, he said something along the lines of, we stand up for the cause because I think those people who don't understand it well, you have two choices, either accept it or don't buy the game. And lo and behold, because they said that, people like me didn't buy Battlefield 5, and the sales were affected by it. And then Battlefield 5 ended up being a colossal disaster post-launch anyway, where they couldn't get the time to kill right. But then you also have Battlefield 2042, where Andrew Wilson, the CEO of EA, said that, DICE is way ahead of schedule with the development of Battlefield 6, yet the game had to be delayed a couple times, and then the beta came out, and I played it, and I was like, what the heck is this? It's not even functional. And then the game came out, and we had a worse launch disaster than Battlefield 4. For those of you that were, around the Battlefield franchise 12 years ago, Battlefield 4 at launch was a disaster, and it paled in comparison to what 2042 was. And that's the thing, like, even though Battlefield 5's marketing was kind of terrible, but 2042's marketing was similar to this next Battlefield game in that, we had so much good trailers, footage, the hype was real, people were building up this game, everything looked good on paper. Now, yeah, we didn't have the large amount of leaks that Battlefield Labs, or what this leaked Battlefield game is looking like it's going to be, that's been coming out. And that could be a marketing move to get, some sort of hype to come in. But still, it's like, my gut isn't sitting right with this because you just have to look at Battlefield 5 and 2042's launch and post-launch at just how terrible it was. And it's easy to imagine and see why Battlefield fans like me are really cynical with the future of Battlefield. And then why there's concern to be made when it comes to even the greatest amount of leaks that have been coming out that look, positive, good on paper, that should get you hyped and excited, only to then, be let down and all our expectations not being met. And ultimately what I say to people is, it's okay to be excited for this Battlefield if you are, but please, for the name of everything that is holy and under God, do not pre-order. You don't need to pre-order. Stop it. This is not back in the day where pre-ordering a game did matter because it reserved your copy so that you could have it on release. But now you don't need it. Games are mostly digital now, which is terrifying, but you don't need it. Just stop. Don't pre-order, please. I'm begging you. Don't pre-order. DICE needs to prove to us that they are going to care about this next Battlefield through their actions. And the only way we're really going to see that is by the launch, and I'd say the first season or two of Battlefield, rather this next Battlefield. Because we have seen time and time again them fumble the ball and screw up. Because I do think 2042 is better than Battlefield 5, and I am not going to hold that back. It's plain simple and obvious to me, because I've tried playing Battlefield 5, and when I bought it after all the updates, that game is a colossal mess, and I have my own reservations why I don't like that game. But 2042 was at least still fun and enjoyable, and it still is. It's the only, like, mainstream sort of first-person shooter that's on the market that I know of that doesn't have skill-based matchmaking. It doesn't have all these weird, like, matchmaking algorithms to get people to stick around or to force people and Timmy no-thumbs to stick around and play the game. So, please, let's see DICE, quote-unquote, cook and prove to us that they are going to actually make a good Battlefield game. Because this Battlefield game, it has to be successful. If it isn't, and it flops again, like 2042 and 5, I think EA is going to put the Battlefield franchise on hold indefinitely. And there is some, still, again, positivity with this because, you know, they are delaying this game and being a little bit smarter when it comes to releasing, you know, official statements and release dates because they want to be careful and cautious. So I give them props for that, but again, they have to make this work. And I think, and I hope that they know this, which is why they're doing the things that they're doing. That's why I think these leaks are sort of intentional, because EA hasn't really been aggressive in taking these down, which tells me that I think they're doing this a little bit on purpose, or they're just letting it happen because they want to have people see the footage themselves. You know, let the product speak for itself instead of just having all these talks and, you know, breakdowns and all these celebrities coming on trying to talk about how good the game is, even though they've never played the game or no idea what it's about. Looking at you, Trevor Noah, during the Battlefield 1 press thing, or being brought back for the Battlefield 5 press tour thing, trying to hype up the game when you never even played it yourself. Just weird decisions like that, I think, are starting to come to an end. And I really, really hope that this time DICE is going to get this good and going. Because I really, really want the next Battlefield game to be successful. I really do. I know I sound like a cynical prick a lot of the times, but I'm not trying to be. Tampering expectations and being critical is how we get good products. This doesn't have to apply to games, but it can apply to any other form of media out there. Us being critical and criticizing, and also giving credit where credit is due, is how we get better products. And it's how we gauge and let these, you know, big wigs know that, hey, we are in charge here. You know, look at me. I am the captain now, kind of mentality. And I'm just hoping that DICE is doing the right things. And with Vince Zambella there, I think there is a shot for Battlefield to make a good comeback. And I think there could be some credence to being excited for Battlefield's next release next year, which I'd rather them delay as long as they can and get things perfectly going. Let's have a launch similar to Battlefield 1 so that we do not have a repeat of Battlefield 2042 and Battlefield 4 even. So anyway, I think that's all I have to say in this video. Once again, thank you guys all for the support. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to know when I go live, because we are still on the road to 300 subscribers by the end of this month, which, as of recording, I'm at 207, which also I want to, you know, give a round of applause for us hitting 200. You know, it did happen while I was recording the Black Ops 2, you know, my experience with. So once again, thank you guys for all the support. And it looks like the algorithm is starting to pick up my videos again, so hopefully we'll see where the video and algorithm takes me to. So anyway, I will see you guys Thursday with another video. Y'all take care and have a good rest of your day.